Hey there, friends. Welcome back. Golf Coach Dan back today, and I'm especially excited for today's topic. It's something I've wanted to chat with you guys about for a while now, but honestly, I just needed this topic to roll around my head a little bit longer to formulate exactly what I wanted to say. Because what we're talking about today, I'm not going to tease you anymore, is early extension. If you've been around the game long enough, especially if you have a higher swing speed, we'll get into that. You probably know what early extension is. It's probably reared its head in your swing at some time or another, and it can manifest itself in a lot of different ways. So let's chat through it. Let's not waste any more time. Early extension, what is it? Okay, well, we play this game in a bent over position for the most part, right? No one stands directly straight up and down when they address a golf ball. So we bend at the hips. We're going to call that just kind of flexing forward at the hips, right? Now, the opposite of flexion is extension. So, what I just said right there is we lose this spine angle and this bend at the hips prematurely in the downswing. Now, what I'm always telling people is the key word in early extension is early, right? Because extension is how we create force in athletics and movement. The only people that are not early extending look like, or not extending at all, it's not early extending. The only people that don't have any extension look like this at the end of their swings, right? Now, I'm not going to label these people, but does that look like it's a swing that would hit the ball very far? No, right? Because that extension out of the ground is how we're going to produce a lot of speed. But if that extension happens prematurely before we're able to make contact with the ball, that can cause trouble at times. It can. It might not necessarily. So early extension is us thrusting our hips usually towards the ball or just standing up. But almost always, right? We bend forward. So early extension is the hips forward and the head, chest up and out. Okay? And again, the more you're able to produce force and club speed, so the higher swing speed you are naturally, the higher the likelihood that you would deal with early extension. So you would want to know how to manage it. Now, that's the term I like to use. How you want to manage early extension. I don't think early extension is something to quote unquote fix, because we've seen really phenomenal players. Again, high swing speed players tend to deal with early extension more. PGA Tour, very high swing speed players compared to amateurs. So you shouldn't be shocked to hear that PGA Tour players can at times deal with early extension. And we've even seen great players early extend their way to phenomenal results. But that would be contingent on you matching up ball position and all the things about your setup with the timing of your swing. It's a high maintenance pattern to deal with. So reducing the amount of early extension you have before impact is usually going to make your life easier to deal with, right? Now, I've thought about it in so many different ways. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. What happens when we early extend? The hips come in, the head comes up and out. One of the most common misses are misses off the heel. If it happens aggressively enough off the heel, we call that a shank. Shanks go shooting off to the side. I have other videos on this channel talking about shanks, and I'm sure I'll talk about it again. I'm not going to go deep into that here. But hooking the ball is very common with early extension. Chunking the ball is very common with early extension. So high heel on the face, chunky, shanky or off the heel, and hooky are all very common with early extension. So coming from the inside with lots of speed. Again, good players do this, right? So we know what it is. We know what kind of misses come with it. We know what kind of players tend to deal with it. And we know that we don't necessarily want to fix it. We want to manage it. How do we want to manage it? Well, honestly, having spent a lot of time around this game, playing it, coaching it, sometimes the simplest thoughts are the most effective and they're certainly the easiest to repeat. So, in all honesty, the most effective thought I've seen recently is just staying lower, feeling shorter, maintaining this hip bend as best you can through the ball. You just fight the good fight. You try not to swing too hard so you feel like you can manage it. If you overdo it, you might kind of put the club into the ground because you do have to early extend, or not early extend. You have to extend through the ball once the ball's gone in a fuller swing. You actually don't need that earlier. Yikes, I keep saying early extension because it's the title of the video. There's a difference between extending at the right time and early extending. Come on, Dan. Anyway, in putting, chipping, you don't really extend much at all. And then in fuller swings, you're going to get through impact and then stand up. So again, just stay lower. That is a nice thought. But I can't make this whole video and just tell you to stay lower, feel shorter. Because I mean, like, it's one thing if I can kind of guide you through it shot to shot here in an in-person lesson, but as a YouTube video, that'll be pretty lame. So I got something for you. All right. Now, Here at 5-Iron, we have what's called the Golf Forever system. You may have seen this if you're watching golf all the time. Our boy Scotty Chef uses this. But you don't even really need this. What you need is a stick or even a golf club, and you can loop that into a resistance band. So any asymmetric cable or resistance band system is going to help you out with this. Now, what I like to do, I'm doing this in lessons all the time. I have people hook that stick or club, shaft, whatever, on the back of their hips. I have them get into golf posture, and then I have them start to twist and turn into their backswing against this resistance. Because it's one thing to tell someone and hear what you're supposed to do. It's an entirely other thing to feel it. I have people do this all day long, and you'd be shocked to hear all the different answers that I'm listening to when I ask them, what does that feel like? But whatever it feels like to that person is what they should do. Now, I'm not going to go crazy with this because it's not anchored into a super stable spot right there, but I'm usually just holding that bad boy in lessons. I'm the anchor point, or if you find a really nice anchor point, then you can go crazy with this, really trying to develop some maybe even power and speed. Whoa! That's why I don't do. That's why I'm not going too hard at it. But if you do have a good anchor point, you can kind of go crazy with power and speed, maybe even with those bad boys. But that's me doing it in the backswing as a right-handed golfer. Maybe even as an early extender, it's probably more important to feel how you can kind of push this left hip and side away from the ball in the downswing to clear the space to avoid hitting the heel, which again, I think heel strikes are probably the most common miss with early extension. But there you go, right? So early extension is really, if you have it, don't worry too much because you're in good company. The best players in the world are oftentimes the ones that are dealing with early extension and just trying to manage it. Again, not trying to fix it. But with practice, you can work on that timing, stay down and in that shot before you stand up into a nice, beautiful finish. And again, if you want to go deeper into the training protocols, find yourself a club or an asymmetric resistance band cable system, and then you can start training that hip rotation to really feel what your legs need to do against the ground to coil up properly and maintain that posture as you generate copious amounts of power and speed. All right? I think that's all for today. Thank you again for watching. If you're one of the real ones that stuck around and watched this long and you haven't already subscribed, that favor would mean so much to me. All right? Hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to march aggressively to 1,000. If we monetize this channel, then we're going to start putting some real time and effort behind it. All right, cool. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment with any questions about this video or suggestions for future videos. I will see you next time.